everybody. How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the new subscribers, for the content. I'm trying to shed light on everything. Trying to be as bipartisan. I'm not affiliated to no party. This is just my views and opinions on both parties. Right now, we're going to focus on the Republicans. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. Please, 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 please. Yeah. Let's get started. So, been watching a lot of stuff today. Let's just get to this right now. We're gonna touch on Jay Z. Pause, but let's get to how the Republicans want to cut Social Security. Let's actually take a gander at who are the richest senators. Let's see. Number one, Rick Scott from Florida. The former governor of Florida was elected to the Senate in 2019. Senator Rick Scott of Florida started his career in business, which is where he made the bulk of his wealth. He created one of the largest hospital networks, the Columbia Hospital Corporation. Scott has an estimated net worth of more than $327 million. Mitt Romney, $246 million. Mark Warner, other members of the U.S. Senate, trial based on his annual disclosure, his net worth is probably $195 million. Pete Ricketts, $161 million. Mark Twain Mullen, $63 million. John Hovner, $59 million. Bill Haddetry, $55 million. Ron Johnson, $54 million. Mitch McConnell, $48 million. So, these are the people that decided that if you're a senior citizen, if you're on disability or anything, you deserve to live a worthless life because you're not an American citizen if you're rich. If you're not rich, you're not an American citizen. Let me tell you, people, we are in an oligarchy. We are just like the R, which is Russia. We are controlled by the wealthy. And then the wealthy manipulate the poor, stupid white people, poor, stupid Mexicans, poor, stupid niggas, poor, stupid everybody else into thinking we can be just like them when they hold our head underwater and pull our head up and like, breathe. Can you breathe? Bitch, can you breathe? And then dunk our head back in. And then pull it back out. Breathe. Can you breathe? Bitch, can you breathe? And then put our head back in until we fuck around and suffocate and drown in our own vomit and fluids. Because we want to be just like them. Do you understand how stupid you are to vote for a party that does not care about the poor but wants the poor to vote for them? You are Republican by nature because you are stupid. You are Democrat by nature because you are ignorant. Two very wrong things. You can't just vote because you don't like the immigrants and you don't like niggers because we all live in the same country, you stupid, dumb fucks. We all live in the same country. And yet you motherfuckers will sacrifice your own well-being. So make everybody else hard, and then you looking at yourself like, why are the groceries still expensive? Why is gas getting more expensive? Why is our job get tough? Stupid. Simply idiotic. The poor become stupider every single year. Stupider and 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 stupider. And the rich keep getting smarter, wealthier, smarter, wealthier, smarter, wealthier. And what do? Just sit back, like, and everybody else that can read the room is like, damn, the stupid motherfuckers really get the decisions, and the rich and powerful enforce them and make it worse on them. There's no way in hell people are this stupid. And the realized he said that. Holy shit, this nigga crazy. I wasn't even putting that two and two together. He's like, there's gonna be women crying, there's gonna be kids barking, there's gonna be dogs howling, but they're gonna be together. Boy, Trump, these white people. A supervillain is the entire race of white people. That's just the facts. It's the funniest shit too. This is why we need bipartisanship. This is why we don't need money influencing decisions, because people with money become insane and engulfed in their own ideas and beliefs and ideologies. And now we get shit like this on both sides. They want to take away money from senior citizens. They want to take away money from the disabled. They want to take away money from. If you ever wanted universal health care, America will stay, you dirty neo-Nazi bitch. And they be neo-Nazis. Most Republicans are definitely neo-Nazis. Most Democrats are definitely idiots. And they just be wealthy. So they be like, yo, I'm wealthy. I should be able to do and make people bend to my will. Duh. Why do you want to be old and be able to sustain your life and be cool for the rest of your life? Well, I'm rich. I feel like you should be like on the bottom of my heels. That's how the rich look at people. The rich are very, very evil people. Evil people. They're like, oh, I give to charities. Bro, you give to charities for tax write-offs. You don't care about those charities. You give them to your own charities. It's smart. I did it. But they're all evil. Most rich people are evil people. I don't know how people don't see this. But then again, the poor are stupid and the rich can manipulate that.
Order by Obama. That executive order protected the Dreamers, DACA. He undid that executive order. So if he cared about the Dreamers, why did he do that? So let's be honest about that.
So look, at the same time, why haven't we been able to protect the Dreamers so far? Because they're Republicans, let's be honest. So like.
My bad, y'all. Y'all probably didn't see nothing. I wasn't paying attention. I was really in my bag, but my bad. Now y'all can see.
I don't think there's a lot of donor money in not protecting the Dreamers. So normally that's the one thing that inhibits the Democratic establishment from getting something done. But those establishment Republicans were dead set against it. So if Trump can make them heal, that would get rid of our giant impediment, which is the Republican Party, okay? So let's be clear about that. So to finish my earlier point, look, when you have someone strictly serving the donor class like Mitch McConnell or Joe Biden, they're never ever going to move on anything. And I think a lot of the progressives in Congress too were very naive about this. They were like, oh no, they are our colleagues and we can get them to do the right thing. And unfortunately, we were right. You couldn't, because they don't care about the policies. They only care to serve donors. That is why, does Trump care about the donors? Of course, he put the donors in charge of the government, right? Miriam Adelson gets foreign policy, Elon Musk gets domestic policy, etc. But at the same time, he's more of a traditional politician in that he actually cares about his popularity. He actually cares, hey, am I losing my base? Am I not losing my base? Etc. So that is an advantage that we could use to say, hey, if you want to be more popular, do things people like rather than things that people don't like. And that is
So I'm here to check out Keith. He's interested in setting up his LLC for his business. I'm going to show him Taylor Brands.
Sir, you said during the campaign you had concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Oh my God. All right, well, 3 months after getting pretty brutally mocked for that very line during the presidential debate with Kamala Harris, Donald Trump decided to repeat it again. He has concepts of a plan. Now, look, we're talking about a guy who in his first term tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and he claimed that he had a replacement for it. So shouldn't you have a replacement already top of mind to answer that question? So look, back in September when ABC moderator Lindsay Davis asked Trump if he had a plan to replace the ACA, he said, I have concepts of a plan, I'm not president right now. Now, he won the election, so hopefully he has more than just a concept of a plan. What would he do to fix our broken healthcare system, especially right now at a time when everyone's talking about our broken healthcare system following the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO? Well, let's hear what he had to say with more context and then we'll discuss.
We have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest healthcare companies looking at it. We have doctors. We're always looking because Obamacare stinks. It's lousy. There are better answers. If we come up with a better answer, I would present that answer to Democrats and to everybody else, and I do something about it. But until we have that, or until they can approve it, but we're not going to go through the big deal.
So look, you all should watch the entirety of this conversation, especially the part about healthcare, because to me, it was clear that he has no intention of attempting to repeal the Affordable Care Act in his second term, and that's good news, even though I actually do agree there are some major flaws in the Affordable Care Act, which is why everyone is pretty upset with our healthcare system. The Affordable Care Act did improve in some areas, including preventing health insurance companies from denying you coverage if you have pre-existing conditions, allowing children or people to remain on their parents' health insurance until the age of 26. You know, there are some caps on costs out of pocket. So there were definitely some improvements, which is why polling does show that the Affordable Care Act, generally speaking, is starting to poll a lot better. And Republicans stopped calling it Obamacare as a result of that, which is fascinating. But I do agree that there are major flaws, right? The premiums are still too high. Insurance claims get denied all the time. So what are your thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, so Trump is so frustrating because he never does any homework. Like if I got caught in a debate saying something ridiculous like, oh, I have concepts of a plan. You know what I do right after the debate, especially if you're running for president, I'd put 2 people, 10 people, 20 people on get me a goddamn healthcare plan immediately, right? But I would have done that 10 years ago because I would have cared while I was running for president the first time of having my own healthcare plan, especially as he was trying to kill Obamacare. He never had a plan to replace it. So Obamacare is like super weak sauce, in my opinion. It was written by the Heritage Foundation, the same organization that wrote Project 2025. So if you don't know that, you're a Democrat and you watch mainstream media, you could look it up and you'll be shocked to find out. The first politician who did it was Mitt Romney. He passed it in Massachusetts when he was the governor there. So it used to be called Romney Care. Now it's called Obamacare, and it is built to be a super weak fix and maintain the system mainly as it is, but release valve. Oh, we got problems with pre-existing conditions, get rid of the pre-existing condition thing, and then the indentured servants will go back to the assembly line and keep working for us because they're now rebelling over the pre-existing conditions thing. By the way, put in a mandate so they must purchase insurance from the private health insurance companies that basically kind of wrote this plan, right? So it was, yes, it made it better than the draconian system we lived under before. And yes, if you're going to kill it, you should have a replacement, right?
I did not know that. Hold up, wait a minute. Rest in peace to Tony's mom as well. Sorry for your loss, Tony. The Broussard family, sorry for your loss. I know you lost Quit this year as well. sorry for your loss. That's heartbreaking. Hug your moms, hug your grandmas. Life is very fleeting and life is very precious, and yeah, I'm still trying to grasp that my damn self, but while I still have my mom, I'm gonna hug her and kiss her every day. That's whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, anything. Do that. All right. Did the Heritage Foundation right on in Obamacare budgeting? I don't know how they did put Washington back into the hands of the American people. When the rich
I'm super curious in the long run, Anna, because so back in the day when we were having those debates, the Republicans, not Trump, but the Republicans said, oh, we have a replacement. Sure we do. What we're going to do is we're going to allow the different states to have their own healthcare systems, and then you could opt into any state you like. And that's called #freedom. And in the beginning, it sounds alluring. Oh, maybe I could take maybe I'll take a red state one or a blue state one, or I have all these 50 options.
This game, you're not ready for it.
No, it's a race to the bottom. It allowed people to avoid the entire system. It's a complicated thing, which I explained many times back then, would actually make the healthcare system way worse, and much to the advantage of the healthcare insurance companies that were pushing for it, lobbying for it, giving campaign contributions for it, and the drug companies that were also doing the same thing. So the Republican politicians have been crooks my whole life. So now we've got a new base for Trump that hates Mitch McConnell and those old school Republican politicians.
Yeah.
But are they gonna wisen up to the fact that corporate donors are still in charge?
We also have another problem though, Cenk, because look, I prefer a single payer healthcare system. I think that is the best possible option. Looking at other models across the globe, that's the system that appeals to me the most. So I want to be clear about that. But the countries in which a single payer healthcare system tend to work best are countries in which the public, generally speaking, has high trust toward their government. And in America, we don't have that for good reason, because we have corporate, corrupt politicians. And so, look, you often talk about getting money out of politics and all of that. I really do think that that's the heart of every issue that we have in this country, because look at what's happened in California, for instance, not on the healthcare end, but on the dealing with housing and the homelessness crisis here, right? It's not that taxpayers in California have been unwilling to spend a significant amount of money to help people who are homeless and get them into housing. We've spent a lot of money. And a recent audit found that the state squandered $24 billion and it did not improve the homeless problem at all, okay? And it's because that money got funneled into various nonprofits that have relationships with our local politicians, with our state politicians.
And real estate donors.
And real estate donors. That is corruption. That is all of these little entities getting rewarded after, engaging in their own bribery schemes, legal bribery schemes during the electoral process. We got to get rid of that corruption.
So two things about that. Number one, there's the only part I disagree with is that, you need trust in government to do a single payer healthcare. Single payer healthcare works everywhere. On average, as I've said a million times, it's half the price. So it's not like it's close. It's only 10% or 5% better. No, it's literally 100% better on cost, and life expectancy on average is 4 years higher. So it works everywhere. But to Anna's point about losing the trust in government, there's this vicious cycle that old school Republican establishment politicians did, which is, look, we screw up the government by taking all these legalized bribes and serving the drug companies and the military industrial complex, et cetera. And after we screw up the government, it shows you how corrupt it is by us being corrupt. We then blame the government, and you see the government doesn't work.
You're right, that does happen.
Right,
yes.
and so then the right-wing voters and some independents go, okay, so then I don't want to do government-run healthcare. And you're like, hey, brother, you know how much you love Medicare and how much of a relief it was to you when you finally made it into Medicare? That's government-run healthcare.
Yes.
The problem isn't the government. Government can overreach. Governments do 100 bad things, but it's our job to rein them back in. The problem is the corruption that's destroying the system that we have now.
Yes, and by the way, the corruption also, this is what I'm trying to get at. You're not gonna get most Americans to agree to a single payer healthcare system when they realize it would be carried out by the government and they don't trust the government because of how corrupt it is. You get what I'm saying?
No, I do, but number one, I think you can because the polling shows it's overwhelmingly popular and people hate this system. But number two, by definition, if they got past, they would never propose that system in this current model because they're almost all bribed.
It's the Motion Array Epic Holiday Sale. Get 10% off the everything plan.
Right?
Yep.
So they're almost all corrupt, except a couple of Tom Massey on the right, Bernie Sanders on the left, et cetera, right?
Shout out to the Unturds. They always give great insight, polarizing views, et cetera, et cetera. Luigi Mangione. I don't know if that's real. Anyways, Jay-Z. Accused of raping. Let's see.
Rap music mogul Jay-Z revealed as an accused rapist in a civil lawsuit initially filed against Sean Diddy Combs. The two stars, now accused of raping a 13-year-old girl at an after-party decades ago. I have 7 shocking details from the suit and what Jay-Z, Combs, and the accuser's lawyer are all saying about it. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Jay-Z, of course, is one of the biggest names in rap music, and he has been a longtime friend and associate of Sean Diddy Combs. Now he's being revealed as the name behind Celebrity A in a lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe from Alabama, who claims that Combs and now Jay-Z raped her in the year 2000. And in a bit, I'm going to tell you what both Jay-Z and Sean Combs are saying about this lawsuit, so stay tuned for that. Combs is currently in federal custody, accused of racketeering and sex trafficking, and he's pleaded not guilty to those charges. The sex trafficking charge filed against Combs relates to allegations made by his ex, Cassie Ventura, that he forced her to take part in freak-offs, days-long sex acts with male sex workers. Cassie had originally filed a civil lawsuit against Combs in November of 2023. That suit, of course, was settled in record time within a day. Before that, Combs's lawyers say that Cassie's lawyers had made an offer to them that they could buy the rights to a book she was writing for $30 million in exchange for it never seeing the light of day. Cassie's lawsuit and the subsequent settlement seemed to open the floodgates for other women to file civil lawsuits against Combs. More than a dozen have been filed, including one by a Jane Doe in October. At the time the suit was filed, Combs was the main defendant, and 2 other celebrities were listed as Celebrity A and Celebrity B. Celebrity A was listed as a man and Celebrity B a woman. Now attorney Tony Busby, after some legal back and forth with a demand letter and dueling lawsuits, says Celebrity A is Jay-Z, whose legal name is Sean Carter. The suit begins. Defendant Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, along with his longtime friend and collaborator Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z, drugged and raped a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after party, but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences.
Listen, you want to skip this ad. I would too. But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody?
The plaintiff says she was 13 at the time in January of 2000 when she said she went to the MTV Video Music Awards at Radio City Music Hall. She didn't have a ticket, so she approached limo drivers who were parked outside hoping to get in. The lawsuit says one of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for defendant Combs. The driver told her that Combs liked younger girls and said that she fit what Diddy was looking for. And while not allowing her into the awards, the driver invited her to an after party. The driver stated that he had to drive Combs and others to the after party first, but instructed plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he pick her up after and take her to the after party. While the woman says she was outside the VMAs talking to the limo drivers, inside it was a big night, particularly for Jennifer Lopez, who was at the awards show with her then boyfriend, Sean Combs. They were a hot couple back then, and Lopez won the VMA for Best Dance Video. She was on top of the world that night. The woman claims that night, outside of Radio City Music Hall, she got into a limo with someone affiliated with Sean Combs. That suit says, after approximately 20 minutes, plaintiff arrived at a large white house with a gate U-shaped driveway. Once inside, two men asked plaintiff to sign a non-disclosure agreement, informing her that she could not discuss what happened at the after party. She gave them her name and signed the form, but did not receive a copy. The Jane Doe described seeing celebrities, but those people are not named. Inside the building, plaintiff recognized many celebrities as she entered what appeared to be a large living room or foyer containing a large crowd. Plaintiff attempted to mingle in the crowd and talk to several of the celebrities that she recognized and whom she wanted to see at the VMAs. Waitstaff circulated throughout the room, carrying trays of drinks, and loud music played throughout the venue. Plaintiff observed widespread drug use, including marijuana and cocaine. After attempting to talk to numerous celebrities, plaintiff accepted a drink from one of the waitresses, circulating the crowd. The drink was a reddish-yellow mixture that tasted like orange juice, cranberry juice, and something bitter. After drinking just a portion of that drink, plaintiff began to feel woozy and lightheaded, making her need to lie down. A photograph.
Okay, this is sounding a bit sketchy because, like, I can't say it. Bitch, where's your parents? God damn, what the fuck? Who just lets it?
An actual exemplar container used by Combs and or his agents/employees to insert GHB into alcoholic drinks is seen below. And these are the photos included in the lawsuit that show a small plastic container that the plaintiff claims contained drugs at the party. The woman, remember, who claims she was 13 at the time, says she felt woozy and went to look for a place to lay down. She claims she found a bedroom that had just a large bed in it with no other furnishings. And what she describes next is incredibly disturbing. The cases I cover each day here on Crime Fix show you just how scary the world can be. And one of the scariest things that can happen is if you ever get hurt. But I want you to know, if you're ever seriously hurt or in an accident, your case could be worth millions. That's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. The firm has an army of more than 1,000 lawyers who will fight for what you deserve, and they have the track record to prove it. In the past few months, Morgan & Morgan has won big verdicts like $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philly, and $6.8 million in New York. All three celebrities. Combs aggressively approached plaintiff with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her, and said, "You are ready to party." Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall.
Yeah, some of this shit sounds made up, but whatever.
Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her.
They're making these niggas sound like super humanoid people. They thought he threw me against the wall and bent me over and started fucking me. Like, I doubt he has the strength to literally throw you against the wall. I can't. Never mind.
Again and threw her on the bed, At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. Plaintiff was held down by Carter as he vaginally raped her, while Combs and Celebrity B watched. After Carter was finished, he stepped back toward the wall. Combs then stepped forward and vaginally raped plaintiff while Carter and Celebrity B watched. Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken aback, Combs stopped his attempt. The allegations in this suit are very disturbing, and Sean Combs is denying the claims being made by the woman, who's now around 37 years old. Combs and his legal team said in a statement, "This amended complaint and the recent extortion lawsuit against Mr. Busby exposes his barrage of lawsuits against Mr. Combs for what they are, shameless publicity stunts designed to extract payments from celebrities who fear having lies spread about them, just as lies have been spread about Mr. Combs. As his legal team has said before, Mr. Combs has full confidence in facts and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr.
All right, I don't know heads or tails for the Jay-Z shit. If he did send the sorry side of shit, oh, Ben Baller hating ass bitch. If he did, I mean, hey, he's a piece of shit. If he didn't, he's gonna get a lot of money back. I've seen that nigga out here. That's the funny part. Yeah, Roddy Ricch ain't fall off, but let's talk about this Luigi Mangione as well, because it just sounds too fucking weird.
Listen to this. There's no excuses anymore. There's so much potential.
We're learning more information about the assassin behind the murder of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. His name is Luigi Mangione, and his manifesto, which he had in his possession when the police arrested him, has now been made public by Ken Klippenstein, who managed to obtain it. So you can read the entirety of the very short manifesto on Ken Klippenstein's Substack. But I have a few excerpts that I think are worthy of reading to you right now, because it does shed light on what his motive was in this assassination. And yes, it does confirm what we had suspected. So he wrote, "I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the United States has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42nd in life expectancy. United is the," and then he writes something indecipherable, "largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No, the reality is these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it." And then finally, the last excerpt I'll read to you. "Many have illuminated the corruption and greed decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty." So to me, obviously, this clarifies what motivated him to carry out this assassination. And and it was what we all suspected anyway. But as Cenk and I have been talking about, regardless of how you feel about the assassination itself, the fact of the matter is murdering one individual, one executive in a very broken healthcare system, unfortunately, does nothing to change that broken healthcare system. It's a systemic issue. It's a huge issue that we've had in this country for a long, long time. And it's not only due to the health insurance companies, it also has to do with the exorbitant rates that providers charge the health insurance companies. That leads to denials of claims, and it's just a terrible, broken system, period.
Yeah, so look, here's something else I wanna say about this killing. The system is bursting at the seams. They've been playing good cop, bad cop with us for decades now. Democrats and Republicans, they both take corporate money, they do what they want. Corporate media comes in and whitewashes it, and Fox News and MSNBC play good cop, bad cop, et cetera. And they had us controlled for about 40 years, in my opinion, okay? Maybe even more. So now things are starting to go out of control. One example of that is Donald Trump winning twice. As a right-wing podcaster told us on the Young Turks, we know he's a bull in a china shop, but we hate that china shop so much that we sent the bull in on purpose, okay? So I thought that was an excellent description of why Donald Trump won, because the American people now despise that china shop that is the establishment's most prized possession. And so, and things are bursting at the seams in other ways. You see people yelling at politicians while they're eating. There are people going to people's homes, and now this killing. Why do you think that's happening? If you say, hey, don't look into the root causes, just ignore the problem, you're an idiot, okay? Or you work for mainstream media, or both, right? So the reality is you have to go, oh, I see. Since they have no access to any of the politicians, since their voice is completely and utterly unheard, they're now acting out in ways that are irrational and things that are counterproductive because they're so mad they can't contain themselves. And by the way, look at this on both sides, and we're literally the only show that says this, okay? So on George Floyd, what happened? There were riots that broke out, and what do people say? Martin Luther King Jr. quote, it's the voice of the unheard, right? And I agree with that. They're like, how many times are cops gonna kill us? And the system's never gonna get fixed. So I'm super mad. That doesn't justify any crimes that happen, but that is why it happened. But same thing for January 6th. Not for the organizers, not for Trump, not for any of the leaders, but for the guys on the ground. They were so mad, and maybe they got misdirected. I think they got misdirected,
100%, yeah.
right? But why were they so mad? Because they feel unheard. Because they keep screaming, I think these guys are crooks. I think the system is corrupt. And that core assumption that they have on the right is true, it's correct. Of course, their own guys are also corrupt, right?
Yep.
But so that is why they both rioted. That's why when this guy does the killing, both the left and the right, some portions go, hell yeah. That's why they're so upset, because this corrupt system never wants to hear from any of us. And we're bursting at the seams. We can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I think you're seeing the frustration Americans are feeling, regardless of how they identify politically, manifest in some cases dangerous ways. And bringing up the protests that take place in front of politicians' homes and all of that. Yeah, that is threatening to the politicians, and I don't condone it because I don't think that it's actually changing anything. And in fact, it's leading to all sorts of smears against the protesters and an attempt to delegitimize their legitimate concerns in some cases. But people are angry and they're frustrated, and it's because we're living in a system in one of the richest countries in the world, and we're seeing people dying on our streets. We're seeing a situation in which ordinary Americans who are busting their asses at work day in and day out are unable to afford housing for themselves and their family members. The rage is very real, and that doesn't justify carrying out an assassination or murder, but at some point, something's gotta give. The system can't keep going on the way that it is. The anger is gonna continue building up. So with that in mind, let's move on to some more details about Mangione, because we do have his mugshot. He's a young man, 26 years old, and we're
something about this just doesn't sit right. He looks too calm. Unless he was like, I'm in it to win it. But I don't know. Also, That is true. People do feel unheard. People do feel castrated by systems in place, systematic or systemic things that are occurring and have occurred for decades. The fact of the matter is, what can be done? Because people vote, people do all the loop, the doop, the doop, the doop, the doop, the doop. And you know what America was built on? Was uncivilized rage, ignorance, brutality, and destruction. So if it was brought into conception on that, why can't it be used to correct itself? That's a good question.
Learning more about his own personal health issues. He's 26 and he had some severe back problems. So he is facing murder, illegal gun possession, and possessing a forged instrument charges in New York. In fact, today there was an extradition hearing in Pennsylvania where he was arrested because New York, understandably, is trying to extradite him to their state.
This was me, struggling to keep up with posting consistently on YouTube and getting less views than normal until I found
their state so he can face these charges and stand trial. And so as he was entering the building for that hearing, he had something to say to the media. Let's take a look at that.
And it's completely out of touch and it insults the intelligence of the American people. It's a lived experience.
All right, so we just heard him yell that about it, sort of something being unjust. This is an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
So clearly he's on message there, and he, again, his manifesto very clearly stated what he has an issue with when it comes to this health insurance company, and he talks about injustice there as he's being dragged into the building for the extradition hearing. Now, he's a Maryland native who was arrested while eating at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. He was also in possession of a ghost gun, according to police, along with that short manifesto expressing anger toward corporate America. The two officers approached and asked him to pull his mask down. And when he did so, both immediately recognized him from the images circulating of the person wanted in connection with the New York shooting. They wrote in the criminal complaint. Soon after the officers wrote, they asked if he had been to New York recently, and the male became quiet and started to shake. So the police claim that they then asked him for ID, and he proceeded to provide them with a fake New Jersey driver's license. And then they told him, if you give us fake identification, we're going to arrest you. And at that point, he told them what his name is. Now, his background was searched at the police station, where officers said that they found a black pistol and silencer that appeared to be 3D printed, along with a loaded Glock magazine with 6 9mm rounds. Joseph Kenney, chief of detectives in the NYPD, said Mangione had a 3-page handwritten document expressing some ill will toward corporate America. That document spoke to his motivation and mindset, said Jessica Tisch, the New York City police commissioner. Now, he's also related to a Maryland delegate, a Republican, which is interesting. He has deep roots in Maryland, and he comes from a pretty wealthy family, which is also interesting. So he's got back issues. He had to have back surgery in July of this year. And so I don't know if his personal experiences with the healthcare system is what motivated him here, but it's just interesting to learn that this was not a guy coming from a poor family. Like, his family owns a country club. They own like nursing homes for the elderly, of course. And so, yeah, that's what we're learning.
So look, I'm gonna make another point that sounds random, but it isn't. So sometimes when people get, when the system gets mad at someone like this, instead of doing what's rational, so in my mind, you try him, and then if he's guilty, this is a premeditated murder, I would say life sentence, okay? So that's a rational reaction to it, and that vents your frustration, your anger with him in a legitimate way through the justice system. But my guess is that they're going to make, at some point, a decision not to air anything he says.
Yep.
And I hate that, and I think that's totally wrong, okay? So he's gonna come out and they're gonna say, oh, we don't wanna encourage other shooters. I get the logic of it, But we can't be a society where we say, nope, we're gonna bottle everything up, and this burst out because we were bottling everything up, and we got a great idea. We're gonna bottle it up even further. So we're not gonna let him speak at trial, we're not gonna let him do this, we're not gonna let him talk to reporters, we're not gonna let him do any of that, and that's why you see them shooing him away instantly. Oh my God, don't let him talk to any human being ever and bottle it up, right? I think it's a terrible idea. So I think that he should have a normal trial and he should get to go on the stand and we should get to hear what he said.
People are celebrating him doing it, but I mean, yeah, you're right. It didn't do shit, sadly. It made CEOs get scared.
Step into Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises, and turn website layouts into an...
You got all kinds of pussies out here, but you have to be a dude who fuck a lot of pussy to get it.
Right.
Like guys who don't fuck a lot of pussy, they don't get it. It's different.
Let's see. Ooh, Senator Josh Hawley on an expose on these hoes. Let's get it crazy.
But the fact of the matter is, members of Congress should not be trading stock. They should not be. Congress is a rich man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left. So, I mean, listen, the American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fanciful. It's a problem now. It is, and it's not just in perception, it is reality. Members of Congress are trading daily based on information that the public doesn't have.
And now I'd like to recognize Senator Hawley for his comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for working so diligently on this and accommodating my many suggestions and concerns over a period of months to make this the strongest possible bill. I think it's a terrific bill. Senator Scott threatened me a moment ago that if I made a lengthy statement, we might lose his vote. So I will be extremely brief. I just want to point out that the historic nature of this finally getting to a vote. There's been a lot of talk about banning stock trading by members of Congress. Never have we been able to get a vote. We're going to get that vote today. And I just think that this is such a simple proposition. The American people, when I go home and I say to folks, they ask me about stock trading, here's the thing that absolutely stuns them. They can't believe that it's legal already. They can't believe we can currently do it. Most members of the public think it's already banned. And when I say actually it's 100% legal, they say why? And there's no good answer to that question. We should be here to focus on the public's business, not private gain. We shouldn't be here day trading. We shouldn't be here focusing on our stock portfolios. We should be here doing what the American people sent us to do. And that's what this bill is about. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store, preloaded.
I came in here happy to vote yes on this self-flagellation. For my own part, what I did when I ran for office, I divested myself of all my marketable securities, turned them into cash. I've been sitting on cash. And you know how much I've lost in terms of opportunity cost since that point in time. So, from my standpoint, I was able to do that. I had the capability of doing that. And I thought that'd be the honorable thing to do. My wife has since purchased an ETF, which this does exempt, and I think that's a good thing. I would caution people in terms of, I'm going to vote no now. We don't want to turn Congress into a rich man's club. I think it's already suffers from that. And again, I thought also, and I would want clarifications, mainly the reason I'm asking this, is are private businesses exempt or not exempt from this? I was told, again, it's hard to interpret legislative language, but if, I had a rather large manufacturing company, which I did not divest myself immediately, I since have. But that would be grotesquely unfair. We're going to limit the number of people, by the way, qualified people. I actually want people with manufacturing experience or business experience. People have been successful in life. I'd like to see successful people come to Congress and bring their successful skills to bear here. So, again, I agree with Senator Romney. Insider trading is already illegal. I don't know. I think there's all kinds of suspected abuse. A lot of people come into Congress and all of a sudden they're multimillionaires later. I think we do need to exercise caution. But again, I'm primarily speaking at this point because I want clarification. Does this or does this not exempt a private company of somebody who's going to run for office or a member of Congress? I mean, all of a sudden, does that have to be divested? Because I think that'd be a travesty, quite honestly.
Is there an answer to that question?
The answer is that it's exempt if it's a small business as defined by the Small Business Administration.
So how small is small defined by 500,000?
500 employees and under is a small business.
Definitely put me down as no.
So let me ask a question. So if you have 1,000 employees and you own it and it's just your private business, you have to divest of that business? Yep. Well, that's insane. Yeah. I mean, who would want to do that? I mean, farms, family businesses have been going on.
Well, that's insane.
Generations that they keep together, and sometimes families divided by shares. We're going to make people divest of those privately owned businesses, and we think that's a good idea? I don't know. I mean, the answer to that is?
Divest from what?
Stocks.
I don't know what the state of the president's, the former president's current portfolio is. Whoever is elected president would have multiple years to comply. But I do know there's always an excuse for why we can't do a stock trade bill. I've heard this for years. And now we're being told, oh, this was drafted hastily. That's just simply false. I mean, we've worked on this for literally years. So I would just welcome those who now suddenly have concerns. Where have you been for the last few years? And listen, I'm happy to work with you as this moves to the floor. We can always do a substitute amendment. That's fine. But I am 100% committed to banning stock trading by members of Congress. So I'm not going to be dissuaded from that one way or another. And we can throw up as much chaff as you want to. But the fact of the matter is,
hey, if he run for president, anyways, they might kill that nigga. I'm the dead guys.
members of Congress should not be trading stock. They should not be. And I know that there are those on this panel who have never supported and are never going to support a stock trade ban. And that's completely fine. That's your prerogative. But let's not pretend that this is about anything other than that. That's what this is about.
But what about banning of owning of your business? I got a family, I don't, but let's say I have a family business and it's got 1,000 employees and I own it. I have to divest in that. Do you think that's a good part of your bill?
Is that the current, Mr. Chairman? Listen, again, I'm happy to work with anybody who has concerns on substance, who would actually like to get to a result on this and thinks it will improve it on the floor. I'm delighted to work with you on it.
Can I make a suggestion which would solve this? Don't force divestiture. You run for office, you have a stock portfolio, that's it. Now you can't trade it. Okay, you can't buy more stocks and trade stocks, so you want to run for, you can hold on to your stocks. Okay? You can always divest. Okay? You can always buy an ETF. Don't force people to sell their business. Don't force them to sell stocks they already hold. Don't force divestiture. Once you're here, you can't be buying and selling. Again, I don't do it. I did divest. I turned it all into cash. Okay? So that's how I handled myself. I don't want to force what I did and everybody else, though. Not everybody's in my position. I don't want to turn Congress into rich man's club. And by the way, I certainly don't want to impose a self-flagellation on other branches of government. We can do this to ourselves. I don't think we should do it to the executive branch or the judicial branch.
Can I just, Congress is a rich man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left. So, I mean, listen, the American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fancy. No. Should it be happening? I submit that it should not be. So again,
not to mention his other investments. So you have Senator Johnson has proposed, what makes a lot of sense, which is to say, if you have investments, you don't have to sell them to run for office. You can't trade. But I didn't say this bill wasn't drafted quickly or hastily. I said it was drafted poorly. All right, there are a number of things the bill does which ought to be done, which I would support. But causing people that are running for office, including the President of the United States, to have to divest of all their public and private enterprise securities is simply something that's a mistake and would prevent people from running from office, including the person who's the Republican nominee for president.
Senator Marshall, you're recognized for comments, and then Senator Langford, you're next.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly, I acknowledge the issue you all are describing, but I'm still going to support this bill. I think it's important enough that we get it to the next step, and hopefully the process can improve it. I would be impacted by the current legislation and have to divest myself of companies that we own prior to getting here. I agree with you completely, but I think this is so important. We need to move forward. My only wish is that we would have included spouses the moment it impacts us, because that's where it's being abused, is on spouses making some of these trades. When you have hundreds of thousands of people following a spouse's member of Congress through a Twitter feed, obviously there is a problem. So I'm ready to move forward with it. Appreciate everyone's efforts on this, and yes, it's got to be amended going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Langford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a person who's sitting to the left of Senator Hawley, we should put our bank accounts side by side and do some comparisons on it. As a former youth pastor, let me just ask a couple of questions on this. Senator Marshall, I think committee is the place to be able to hammer this out rather than between committee and the floor. Committees are designed to be able to have this kind of conversation to be able to figure it out. And my concern is this gives the perception of members of Congress are no longer trading wink, wink, nod, nod, unless it's an ETF, unless it's a mutual fund, unless it's other things. So you can't trade Apple or Microsoft stock, but you could trade QQQ, which has a huge percentage in those, and basically do the same thing. That's a lot.
They're like, nigga, are we going around in circles? Yes, we are. The rich, bruh, the rich. All right, I'm about to call it a night. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for fucking with me. Like, comment, subscribe. I will be breaking this down. And y'all can get these clips. But let's just go over what we talked about. Jay-Z was in a freak-off. Maybe, maybe not. Allegedly. Republicans want to destroy the poor and feast on their carcasses. Donald Trump wants to ban everybody. So if he gets rid of birthright citizenship, I'm going into a slave camp as well as getting deported. It's going to be wild. Black people will get hit the hardest, and everybody else will be like, oh my God, they're doing this to the blacks again. And Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and everything else. America is not... Okay, anyways. All right. I'll have a good day, man. This is sick. We are sick.